How's it going, everybody? My name is Box from Box and Jackalope, and welcome back to the Kun-Lai Campfire podcast. We've been on a bit of a hiatus, and honestly, it's been kind of my fault with coordinating. Just a very busy time of year, but we are happy to be back and talking about the Draenei Heritage Questline. I'm joined by my good friend Banarak today, and Jakai will be back for the Pandaria remix episode we have planned. But welcome, Ban.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Howdy.
We had the best opening right there. We're ready to rock and roll now. So the Draenei Heritage Questline, personally, I just want to start off with both our thoughts on it and what we liked about it. And I really want to start off by saying, in a similar vein to the Orc questline, you could feel the love and passion poured into this questline, with various NPCs popping up, all the Draenei factions too. You had the Broken, the Crow-Cool, the Broken and the Crow-Cool interacting for the first time, the Minari Draenei, which are, I'm not gonna lie to you all, in Legion, I would have never thought about playing one. I always just thought of them as villains, but the Penitent, which they now have a name, are a faction led by Arzal now in the Draenei, and if you actually play an Eridar during the quest, you get special dialogue, and when you go to the stone, do you know the name of the stone at the end, Ban? I apologize, it's been a few weeks. Do you remember that?
It's the stone that you can, the whole thing is about the ceremony, or the, it's about, like, letting go of the past and moving forward.
Yes, and that's kind of like where I feel like playing an Eridar was actually really cool, and the fact that the developers gave you special dialogue choices, like I could be like Zobarai, the Penitent, and then I could talk about what I wanted to atone for, right? Like the atrocities you committed while you're in the Legion, or just other things like that. So you get special dialogue like that, and like you get to hear that there's actually not too many of them in the Alliance, which I thought was cool. But yeah, that quest line we got in Dragonflight really made me a fan of the Eridar as a faction, as a playable thing. I love atoned villains, and that's kind of exactly what we got from them. So I'm really curious to see how Arzal develops as a character, because he's definitely here to stay, and it's always cool seeing a character turn around like that. Like, obviously, we didn't really know him before. Like, he's a new character, but he's a really interesting new character. And I like that the character just has some teeth to him. I really like Hatun, how he's just still sassy like he was in Legion. And I like how he's just always going after Velen and everything. But, Ban, you mentioned something, and I just want to say this was kind of, we talked about it before the podcast, but something that was cool is we have like a new triumvirate, right? With like, you have Velen, Hatun, and Arzal with the various different factions, and a lot of stuff gets teased. A new Draenei city was teased in this quest line, which was super cool. So it really, while this quest line celebrates the Draenei with various different small NPCs throughout it, it also builds to the future of the Draenei, and I feel like this and the Orc one as a template are so good for world building. I really, honestly, I hope that we get more story like this down the line. I hope we continue to see the Draenei in the World Soul Saga in this form, because their story has just been so consistently good for a long time. Like, I can't think of a single Draenei storyline that's let me down personally. In this one, like, I was just gushing about the whole time I was playing through it. I was like, oh, there you see Tepartos and all these other Draenei around. Like, it was really cool. I'm going to let Ban go into a little bit more detail about that, because there's one that he specifically really liked. But it was really cool where you get characters like Akama's thoughts and the Crow-Cool. That's just the kind of stuff you need. Like, I think we always want to hear about what characters think about in a current situation, right? Like, I'm very biased towards the Hawosian Pandaren, but again, like, that would go such a long way for me if, like, G Firepaw talked about what's going on, like, with the World Soul stuff or the Earthen, just as an example. And we really got that here with the Draenei, talking about the different factions, how they feel about the Eridar. You can specifically ask a lot of the Draenei NPCs that, how they feel about the Crow-Cool, and how the Crow-Cool feel about the Broken. It's really awesome stuff. Like, I can't say enough good about it. the character dynamics, the interactions. Velen is always a treat as a character on screen. I think he's going to be with us for quite some time still as the face of the main Draenei. But the fact that we have these subgroups, I really do believe we're going to be getting Broken / Crocool at some point. I guess the only want for these quest lines down the line, I don't see why a Lightforge player shouldn't be able to do this, or a Magar Orc for the Orc quest line. It is the same lore, and there's characters from those factions there, so it would only feel correct, in my opinion. Like, just allow them to wear the heritage armor. The armor itself, we'll talk about afterwards. But, Ban, I've gushed quite a bit about this. I probably missed a bunch of stuff, but again, I really, really enjoyed this questline. I want to say this was my personal favorite questline. Like, absolutely my personal favorite heritage questline, and that's tough competition next to the Orc one. And it might be because I really like my Minari character, but I will throw it to you, Ban. Draenei have always been my favorite alliance race too, so I'll throw it to you now, Ban, for real.
Okay. Well, I'll bounce off a lot of what you just said. I mean, obviously, Orc will probably remain number one for me. Orcs are my favorite race in Warcraft, and that's not changing. And the Heritage questline for the Orcs was astounding and did exactly, almost beat for beat what the Draenei one did prior. Like, obviously the Orc one was first, and it was a couple patches ago, but the Draenei one definitely feels like it mirrors the Orc one, which is perfect considering they are both from Outland or Draenor. And what I really liked about the Draenei Heritage questline is, in a similar vein to the Orc one, it gave us a lot of what's been going on with certain groups within the Draenei, especially the Draenei that have been on Outland. It literally opens up with us going into Xala'tath and checking in on the, I'm trying to think of what the name is called, but it's like the High Artificer, I believe that's what they're called. And what she's been up to, and she's been working on this grand design that is supposed to replace or make Xala'tath better. And we see that actually being instead used, not on Xala'tath, but on Draenor, or not on Draenor, on Azeroth, the new city, the new capital. And that's not revealed to the very, very end, but it's one of the most, like, I'd say, like, best moments, or, the thing that will stick with players. And it's something that I definitely will latch onto, and I definitely think we'll talk about it more near the end of the podcast. So I don't want to linger too much onto it. But yeah, the Draenei Heritage questline is really good for all forms of the Draenei, of the Penitent, or the Minari, as they are, the Broken Draenei, which is one of my favorites, and of course the Draenei themselves. And it all takes place in some of their more familiarized areas, like Outland, in Terrakar and Xala'tath, and also in Auchindoun, which is not something I expected, by the way. Us returning to Auchindoun and seeing all the spirits there, and, giving them a peaceful rest, and they're still remaining in Auchindoun. So with all the races, leaving Outland, it was kind of nice to be like, checking in on the Draenei and seeing like the state of Outland again, because we haven't heard from anything regarding it for a while. And I do think that everyone's going to be leaving Outland soon, and that'll be reflected on Azeroth soon enough. But I really liked the story of just, all of the Draenei coming together, defeating the Eredar that wanted vengeance upon the Draenei, and using the Satyrs to get their vengeance through them. Velen and, of course, Hatun, which Hatun is a personal favorite of mine, alongside Akama. Seeing them come together and beat, kick ass and take Draenei names and all the other stuff, it was really good and really awesome. And of course, like the Orc Heritage armor, you have so many familiar Draenei faces coming up for this festival of the Draenei that hasn't been a thing, I think, since Argus. And it was really cool to see that in a similar vein to the Kosh'harg be reflected for the Draenei people. And you got to see, like, Akama, which Akama is my personal favorite. We haven't seen him in years. I really wish he was more into the Heritage questline, but, hopefully they'll reflect him more as a leader among the Broken, among the Draenei, as time goes on. And
it was
you
good to
also
see him
got
after the Order Hall.
Yeah, well, depending on your pick, it kind of left things vague on the fate of Akama, but I'm kind of glad that they're moving past that and they're letting Akama be Akama. But one of the characters that I thought was really cool to show up in the festival was the Ashanai character. And the Ashanai are a not half ogre, sorry, so used to saying that, half orc, half Draenei. And they took part of the festivities, and they actually grew up among Draenei, and his name is Kothar. And it was really nice to see something positive be reflected in a half-breed in Warcraft, because, you know, I'd say the majority of half races in Warcraft don't get the best fates. So it was nice to see that an orc Draenei is living happily among their people, and they seem comfortable with the Draenei more than the orcs. So I like that, and I'm hoping that we'll see that reflected more in Warcraft with other half races like the Mok'Nathal and other various combinations. But yeah, the Draenei Heritage Questline is definitely probably among the best. It's probably among the top 5, maybe 3 for me. I'm not sure entirely, but it is really good. It captures that formula well of, okay, how do you make a Heritage Questline really good? You go to familiar areas that you really like, you gather up characters that are well-liked and well-pronounced.
Throw a little bit of nostalgia in there.
Throw a little nostalgia in there, and promise a promising future for them in where they're living, either with an oasis like the orcs, or with a new capital with the Draenei. And I really like the back and forth between Velen and Hatun. I remember the interviews that they were talking about regarding the Eridar questline back when it first came out, when you unlocked that customization, which is a good precursor to this quest, this questline.
Yeah, definitely go do it if you haven't. Like, it's actually, if you're remotely a fan of Legion or the Draenei, you will love this quest. I've gone on record saying I think it's my favorite quest in Dragonflight. So just
there's a lot of good ones in there. It's among them as the best. But I remember the interview, they were like saying like something is missing. We need to make Hatun just be very angsty, very much upset of what has happened to him over the course of Argus and all the other stuff, because like you don't want Velen and him to be too chummy, which I think was definitely the smart and right move for them both.
Yeah, like the writing, I mean, for the Draenei has always felt super consistent and like logical. Like everything just feels like it flows good for them and it makes sense. I really liked the fact that the leaders kind of they got to go to Bloodmist Isle, and you had Hatun calling out Velen for another mistake. You know, I think that was actually pretty cool. And going back to Bloodmist Isle was quite nostalgic, and then having a celebration after we succeed in Bloodmist Isle, very good throwback to the zone itself, and you get to fight the same demon that you fight at the end of Bloodmist Isle in Bloodmist Isle for this questline. Really like that.
Yeah.
Nice touch. That's the kind of stuff that I love and adore from this. I saw that, I was like, wait, that's the same demon from the end of Bloodmist Isle with like the original version. I love Bloodmist Isle, the OG version of it. I'm a huge fan of that zone, and I hope that they're able to cleanse it, you know? I think that'd be cool.
I think they will cleanse it. I do wonder if they're going to put the city in Bloodmist Isle and use that as a really, you know, positive or good way to, like, you know, cleanse all of the corruption there, because, you know, it might be a bit much to clear out the Exodar, and maybe they want to keep the Exodar where it is, you know? I guess that would mean they would have 2 cities. I don't know. It depends on how they kind of want to, like, showcase that, I guess. But I maybe they'll put a new Auchendoun in Bloodmist Isle instead. I don't know. There's a lot that they could do. But I also really like that we had, as somebody who hadn't really done the Draenei starring zone too much, but I do know that the Furbogs are there, and they got a new updated model that looked really nice.
Yeah,
I like the new Furbog model. They also had the Rengari leader confirmed to be alive. Of course, they had Akama, like I said. I really liked that what like Hatun and Akama had to say both about each other. Like, Akama already has Hatun's respect, and that Hatun is deeply disturbed that the broken Draenei extend beyond just Argus, but they are also on Draenor. And he got to learn a little bit of history about the, you know, what happened on Outland, what happened on Draenor. So I have the feeling that Hatun might not be the biggest fan of the orcs. Velen and Abundo might have, learned to forgive them, and, the Eridar leader, he kind of has to forgive them because he's part of the reason why the orcs got corrupted, so Arzul doesn't really get the chance to, be like, oh, I hate the orcs are, an abomination. So that they might use Hatun as like a way to have the Draenei be, antagonistic towards the orcs, because we really don't have many Draenei who do that, really, despite their history.
And the thing that's kind of cool about that band is we need characters like that to keep some sort of conflict and tension going with the factions, in my opinion. Like, I think that's a really strong case right there, and it definitely should not be forgotten about.
It is interesting because in the Warcraft manga, the Mok'Nathal are apparently enemies of the Broken Draenei on Outland. That's never reflected in the actual game, but I would kind of be interested in, you know how I like rival races like the Worgen and the Goblins, or the Draenei and the Blood Elves. I like when they do that, when they reflect that in the story, like with the Forsaken and the Night Elves too. So it'd be kind of cool. And I'm sorry because I'm going to be repeating myself a lot here, like we did with the Orc one, but having the Broken Draenei and the Mok'Nathal both be the two races that come out at the same time, and reflecting that animosity with each other and reflecting their former home would be kind of cool. I would like to see mostly the Broken Draenei that we see playable come from Outland rather than Argus, but they could do both. I'm okay with both. But I would like to see it more reflected as a culture and people, because I do think that there's more of a populace on Outland than there was on Argus. I think Argus was more of they were a dying breed and they weren't doing so hot. Well, I think on Outland they weren't doing so hot, but I think they were able to kind of like thrive a little bit because they had the Black Temple for a little bit. They had Illidan backing them up. They had a little bit more space to roam around and more, water to actually drink from. Compared to Argus, which looks so barren and without water that I don't even know how they were surviving, if I'm being honest.
Just fell Mountain Dew, Fell Mountain Dew.
Yeah, you gotta slurp that purple slurp, or green slurp, rather.
So I want to throw out a wacky theory to you, Ben, about a potential thing where we get broken.
Wacky theory?
So, do you know how Midnight
gimme.
is called Midnight?
Sure.
So what's that big Void Lord's name that's like being teased?
Dementius.
So what if Dementius and the Void at the end of War Within or during War Within invade Outland and start tearing it apart, where these races have to come to Azeroth, pushing something forward in Midnight?
Oh.
You guys see where I'm getting at here, Ben? You see where I'm getting?
Because that is almost reflecting on what you just said, and I hope I'm not cutting you off, but Dementius, the last time we saw him was in Netherstorm, and he was there because he wanted to finish the job with the Ethereals that he was hunting. He was like, I'm gonna get you guys. You guys don't get to escape me. I'm gonna gobble you up. I'm gonna gobble this world up, and I'm taking you down, basically. And that was Dementius when he was weakened. This is like a fragment of him. This is basically the residue that was left hunting down the Ethereals because he wanted to, finish the job, like I said. So it would kind of be interesting to show the type of character he is by having him be so petty that he would be like, well, Outland's crumbling apart and there's very little people here and the Ethereals might have taken off. I'm still gonna eat this planet because screw you for killing me last time.
As like a super like HD cinematic to like hype us up for Midnight. That would be cool. And then for some reason, maybe it's something to do with the Sunwell. That they need it for like him to, like, I don't know how they would connect it, but I know that's totally off topic, but like it's interesting.
I mean, he could also, because of like, travel time, right? Like maybe, I assume Xala'tath is just gonna summon Dementius in to Azeroth with some kind of artifact or something. Maybe the artifact Erotocron gave her.
Maybe they tested.
So maybe that. Maybe, but she was on Argus testing it seemed like, or rather, she was testing it near Galakron's bones, which is maybe when she first arrived back into the present, when Erotocron was like, "Hey, here you go." which is probably what happened, really, realistically. But I mean, one thing that they could also do, maybe, is Dimensius uses the Dark Portal to get through, and that's why he visits Outlands first. But it's also the place where he died last. So I could see like Xala'tath pulling together all this like void energy or whatever from the old god blood and uses that to bring Dimensius in. But like, it would be kind of cool to see her revive Dimensius in Netherstorm. And that would give, like, an urge or a reason for why, you know, the denizens of Outland to leave, you know?
He just already have.
He would do it out of spite, and that's a good way to show how powerful he is. Yes, Outland is, like, a quarter of a planet. It's not even the full planet. It's, like, a piece of it. It's not even a big piece. It's just, you know, what's left of Draenor. So by having him eat Outland, or what's left of Outland, would kind of be like a good way to encourage all the races from Outland to leave to Azeroth before Dimensius, you know, gobbles it up. I don't know how we would warn them, but maybe like Xala'tath just going through the Dark Portal is enough to be like, hey, everyone get the hell out. And maybe even like the light in Xala'tath or whatever, like Adol saves everyone because Adol's a champ and Adol's, you know, really cool and nice. And I feel like it would be a really nice way to like, one, okay, all the Mok'Nathal have a reason to leave besides just the Horde being nice to them. And the Broken already kind of want to leave, it seems like. The Mok'Nathal kind of want to leave, so it's like... And you could also do this with the other races, like the Arakoa, maybe some Saberon are still around in Outlands and we just never saw them, you know. Every race would come to Azeroth, and like, yeah, that might make Azeroth a little bit more crowded, but it's so much more interesting and fascinating to see those races that we like from Outland have something to do, because Outland's kind of become so irrelevant because there's nothing really going on there, and the planet's already dying, so it's like...
And it's such a good location, too, with so many, like, iconic races.
It would be sad to kind of have to say goodbye to the planet, too, but like that can kind of further add to why we need to stop Dimensius, because it's going to do the same thing to Azeroth. And like,
I mean, that would be such a good like punchline for Midnight too, right? Like Dimensius is coming, like that would be the opening scene.
Yeah,
he can't just teleport to Azeroth.
And it would, like I said, it gives him more of a character, shows him to be petty, shows to be how powerful he is, because he already ate the Ethereal's homeworld, so we know he's capable of doing it. It's not like a matter of, oh, he could never do that, we've never seen him do it. No, we know he can do it, and he's done it to a world soul, so he can do it to much stronger planets. And I just think that it adds stakes, it adds emotion, a loss to a planet that we've known for years, and it would be a nice send-off too. I think that'd be a perfect pre-patch.
I doubt we could see this, right? But how cool would it be if like you could see it from the like as one of the like kind of like how Argus was in Legion in the sky? That'd be cool if you could see like Outland like being like eaten by the void. I know we couldn't, but it'd be interesting.
Oh, it would be. I think it would be like a nice. I think what would be a good like cinematic way of showing it is like we're looking through the Dark Portal as it happens, and like when it gets eaten, like the Dark Portal just gets destroyed. Like, the Dark Portal itself is just gone. There's no reason for it. And, like, Dimensius could even be, like, glaring at us or, like, smirking at us while he's eating the planet. Like, just being, like...
void eyes appear in the portal. Like, creepy
yeah,
eyes.
void... Oh, could you imagine, like, he eats the planet and, like, he's, like... As he's, like, eating it, he looks at the Dark Portal and starts moving towards it to, like, come into Azeroth and, like, you know, we have to destroy the Dark Portal to, like... prevent him from coming through it.
That would be creepy.
That'd be so cool. And that'd be such a nice nod to, I know this is kind of off topic from the Draenei stuff, but it kind of goes in hand what we're talking about it, because the Draenei are kind of still on Outland. They're not really leaving it just yet. They're still kind of like packing their bags, thinking
relevant.
It is relevant. I'll say, and like it would be They did talk about the Army of the Light being, like, you know, showing up to help us with Dimensius and help us with Xala'tath too in Midnight, so why not make it a little bit of a space adventure there? Why not, you know? So maybe instead of it being like we escape through the Dark Portal, maybe we use the Vindicar. That'd be kind of cool too. Makes that relevant.
I do like the Vindicar.
I like it too. It sounds like Vindicar, like it's a car.
So I guess to get back to the questline itself.
Sure.
I honestly think that is an amazing theory, and like it has me a little bit jittery for midnight if something like crazy like that happens. But with the questline itself, like there's so many, like I said, there's so much stuff, but the future it sets the Draenei up for. A new home. Do you think it's gonna be, like you said earlier, reminiscent of like Auchendown or Xala'tath? Maybe Auchendown. Sorry, I always pronounce that wrong. I mess up Draenei names all the time. I just want to say this on record. I did a whole video about Arzal, and I said Azrael the whole time, and I'm like,
Azrael.
Oh my gosh. I love the video, but then I cringe every time I hear myself say that. But now he's Azrael.
I feel that. I've done that where I mispronounce something throughout a video, and like people in the comments will be like, you're getting it wrong. How dare you?
But I do think it's gonna look like Xala'tath more, but like a modern version of it. Personally, with like some sort of tomb where they can honor deceased Draenei, I could really see something like that.
I love the and I was trying to reflect this earlier, but I just love the idea, and we talked about it before the podcast too. But just a world revamp with new starting zones but it's the old starting zone, but it's revamped, just like Cataclysm. But it's way new stories. It's not just the same beat for beat that they kind of did in Cata. I love Cataclysm, but it really did do that a lot with old starting zones. It kind of just was like, just do this again, but it's new HD models with new questing. Instead, it would be a completely different new story with, like, you know, I'd say probably more with your faction leader and, like, old faces and new faces coming together in that zone, dealing with a new threat. But, like, you know, with because we've been mentioning it a lot with the Orc one, because the Orc one is a nice, like, reflection of the Draenei one. The Orcs would have a new oasis with Durotar, so Durotar would be completely different. It would look far more pristine, have more water, probably more wildlife and plant life. Like, it would basically look more like the Barrens, really, but like still Durotar-ish. And then the Draenei one, of course, would have the new city, the new city and the new capital. And I think it would look more like a modern Xala'tath, but on Azeroth. And Xala'tath looked amazing. We didn't really get to see the interior of it, but like the outerior of it was really good in Draenor. So like, I would love to see something reflected like that, rather than the you know, crash spacecraft that we have currently, which you can tell is like, it's nice and it is like nostalgic. I will say that. It will be kind of sad to see that go if it does go, but I kind of hope that they like leave it there as like a reminder. And like they kind of just leave like the Exodar as a thing, like its own thing. Or you know what, if they rebuild the Exodar as a ship and then just, you know, leave it there for them to eventually, I guess they can't really do that because they have the Vindicar, and they said that they used the remaining like ship parts that worked for the Vindicar. But like, I feel like they should leave the Exodar there maybe, and just put the new city, new Xala'tath is what I'm gonna call it for right now. In Blood Mist Isle.
I could see them naming it that.
Why not? It's a nice way to kind of like, or they'll just call it like something, you know, with Trath at the end, like they did with Eradath. Because I think that like means something in the Draenei language. I'm sorry, I'm not proficient in Draenei. I'm more of an Orc person, which is like the opposite of the Draenei. So the Draenei are like my favorite Alliance race, by the way. So I'm just
same.
I'm not proficient. I'm not a pro at the Draenei stuff. The Draenei are so good though. But
that's how
yeah,
this podcast in a nutshell.
Well, you know, you and me could literally be gushing about any race in WoW, to be fair, except apparently dwarves for you.
Ban.
I'd throw him at the spot, guys. Get him in the comments.
But no, I am excited to see like some sort of city like that, and I hope each wing represents the different triumvirate, right? Like you could have like the Crocool area, or the Broken area, the Minari area, and the Draenei area. You know, the regular Draenei, and an area for the Lightforged, and an area for the Lightforged.
Yes, I do think, I didn't get to talk about that, but I do agree with you 100% that they should let allied races join in for the heritage quest lines. However, if they do that, what we need is that the same vice versa for the Draenei and the Maghar to be able to wear the Maghar and the Lightforge's armor and also get their customization. That is the deal. It's a perfect trade-off. We get everything.
Like, I think that's fair too. Like, there's just no reason to not do that for races that kind of coexist with each other. Like, even like the dwarves and the dark iron and the earthen, like, you know what I mean? Like,
it would just look nice. I think that we can all kind of agree, like, after doing Remix, we're not going to talk about Remix too much, but cosmetic armor for everyone is just nice. Like, yes, does it look weird when an orc is wearing Shadowpen gear? Yes, it does. But people can make it work, and it makes them happy. And that's what, MMO should be all about. Yes, there could be some restrictions, like class armor sets. I don't really mind that too much. Like, a warrior shouldn't be able to wear hunter gear as much as I kind of want that, or vice versa. But I think that it makes sense to at least allow orcs to wear each other's armors and get each other's customizations, and same for the Draenei, obviously.
So Ben, speaking of the armor, like the way things look, I actually really like the design of the armor. It's very reminiscent of that set from Burning Crusade, or that artwork of that Draenei.
The artwork, yes,
I really
it's
like
what
it.
I wanted,
and exactly, it's kind of how I feel about it. I kind of got exactly what I wanted, and like, I'm tempted to play a non-Eridar Draenei to use it. I guess my only want would have been a Fel variation of it for the Minari, but I'm happy with it. I really like it. I still wear it on my Eridar Draenei too, which is kind of funny, but I like it a lot. I'm really happy with it. I want to maybe I'll play my priest at some point with it. But
I am glad that it wasn't just another, like, Maraud gear piece or something like they could have done. Like, that one Draenei in the BFA cinematic was really worried it was going to be that armor. As much as it's kind of cool, it is just kind of like oh, hey, here's metal and crystal. Instead, it's more pilgrimage, it feels way more of a wanderer set, which is what, I think a lot of people wanted. In fact, I hope to see people using that Chen hat on the back to match that concept art. That is a perfect combination right there for players who want to be like, I want to look like the Draenei in the concept art. Because the concept art person, they are straight up wearing the Chen hat thing on their back. It's kind of funny. I think it's supposed to be more of a shield, but it still looks really nice.
it works. It works.
This would be really weird, but I think it would be kind of cool if we got to see the Eridar or the Penitent repurpose like Fel technology from like Antorus as like a part of the city or something, and but they make sure like it doesn't like corrupt the land or anything. It's just kind of like repurposed, and it's like aesthetic only, really. I think that would look really cool for like the Penitent. And like they even like talk about it like, oh, we talked with the Artificer and made sure it doesn't do Fel corruption to the land. All it kind of does, it'd be kind of cool if they like instead talk about how like it keeps like Fel in check around the area and kind of like absorbs it but doesn't do anything with it. That would be kind of cool. So like if a Penitent was like, I'm gonna use the Fel to help out the city or something, instead it kind of just like bounces into there. That would be a really cool and neat way to kind of explain like their aesthetic or their section of the city. I love that. And also just like technology-wise it makes sense, because it's the Eridar's tech, technically.
I just want to point out, I love the ship of Ramul and Tanya during the questline too. I think we can appreciate that.
There's a ship going on between them?
I thought they were flirting with each other a little bit.
Ramul and Tanya?
Yeah, the Artifice.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I'm really bad at picking up on ships. I mean, a lot of people ship Velen and Hatun, and I'm okay with that.
This is now the world of ship or the ship
world of shipcraft. I mean, we were talking about ships not that long ago. It was the wrong type of ship, but
I will say I really like Ramul and Atanya on the quest line. But Ramul, I think it would be cool if, like you said, with like the Penitent, like if everything has to get run through Ramul for the city, like for safety and everything. I would dig that, because Ramul is actually one of my favorite Draenei. If they ever added a tank,
I'm really happy. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm really happy that the Rungari are a thing in the main universe, because in the alternate timeline, like we were introduced to Rungari, and I was like, oh, these guys are cool. I wish that we had these on Outland or on Azeroth, right? And now we have confirmation that we do have the Rengari. They're alive. And I love it when they take concept and ideas from Warlords of Draenor and just make them like canon in like, you know, the main universe, because that's what Chronicles did.
Warlords of
So
Draenor
it's nice to see that
a lot of good stuff like that.
So much good stuff for like the main, you know, main timeline and main universe of Warcraft. Like, I know some people were kind of upset about retcons, but I feel like it's better when they add something to the story, not take stuff away. So I'm for that.
I just want to say, Ben, something I really like about this quest line, and the Darkspear one too, which we're going to actually do another episode on, but I just like that it just sets that foundation for the Draenei to move forward. It really, like this, a lot of the stuff in Dragonflight really proved, I think, to everyone that there's so much more story to tell with the Draenei, even after Legion. And it's stuff that, like, I forgot about because it's been so long, right? Like, I didn't even think of the Eridar until that quest came out, and now it's, like, one of the things I'm most interested in, like, going forward.
I want to continue with that, because, like, I thought that Argus was done, you know? Like, when the World Soul died, Argus, the planet, died. When we killed him, and he got sent to the Shadowlands, and we killed him again, I was like, there's no way that Argus is a physical place still. It probably blew up or something, right? I just assumed that. But no, we returned to it, and it's still a thing that we returned to again when helping out Illyria recently. So it's just been nice to know the state of a planet, like Outland, like Argus, in both, you know, quests. It's nice. And, I'm just happy that they did that, and they can keep those stories going, because I assumed the Eridar were done too. I was like, okay, well, if the Legion's done, what's going on with the Eridar? And the Eridar are still a thing. They're still fighting for the Legion, even if it is without a leader right now, which I do think the best thing they can do is either have Jaraxxus or Archimonde or whoever, because I do think Archimonde is still out there. He didn't technically die in the Twisting Nether. He died on Draenor. And that wasn't even our Archimonde. Our Archimonde, the Archimonde we killed in Warcraft 3, he died on Azeroth. So, technically, we could see Archimonde again. Technically. Just saying, Blizzard, if you want to bring back a villain from the olden times, the Warcraft 3 times, Archimonde can come back, Manoroth can come back, and the Orcs can have another swing at him. Kil'jaeden is dead, though.
I was gonna say, I would be for, like, a Legion-themed patch or something like that.
Oh, you know, with Illidan's gonna come back in Last Titan. We know that. Like, if the Titans are coming back, who's guarding Sargeras? I think Sargeras is gonna be a threat again. I think Rudokron is gonna let loose the Mad Titan, and he's gonna be like, oh shit.
It does feel like the whole storyline that Blizzard's kind of going for is that everybody needs each other with what we're about to face in the World Soul Saga. Like, that's the vibe I get from everything, and that's why everything's kind of coming together, you know, with the Broken, the Mok'Nathal. I'm using those specifically because we really like them. But, yeah, I feel like that's the story that Blizzard's trying to tell here. Is there something larger than all of us, and we're going to get answers soon, and kind of just set the stage for that next era of Warcraft, like Netson said at BlizzCon. Like, I'm really excited. This quest line, there's so much we could talk about with it, and like I really do like the world building it gives too. Like you said, like you get to go back to Outland, Auchendown. I said it wrong, Auchendown. I said it wrong twice this podcast, so I apologize.
Burn
like
him.
Xala'tath, and just going back to Outland, but I really, really believe that things are gonna get tough for these races, and I just like that everything's being moved forward. Like, it felt like, as much as I like BFA, with BFA and Shadowlands, everything felt like it moved at a snail's pace for 4 years, and now things just seem to be happening. And I really, really like the world building we've been getting, and I hope we get more quests like this down the line. As far as the Draenei quest goes, I don't have too much more to say about it, other than love the Penitent, love the cameos, love Velen, Hatun, all these characters, Ramul, Akama. I could go down the list, but being able to talk to them, get their thoughts on the current thing. I think the key takeaway is this questline did excellent world building for lore fans. There was a lot of stuff to bite into. Like there's stuff that I missed that I didn't even know, and there's stuff that I found that people didn't know when I posted about the Eridar stuff. A lot of people didn't know about that. So I really,
Yeah.
really want to give Blizzard a kudos on this. Like like the people that worked on this. Y'all, if for whatever reason you're watching this, y'all did an amazing job. Like probably one of my favorite quests we've like ever had in WoW, and it really reaffirmed my love for the Draenei.
It is funny because I have a little bit more to say than this, but I remember when you first were gonna do the Draenei Heritage questline, you were like asking me, "Ban, I think I should change my Eridar to be more of a Draenei for this because you were like, it's kind of weird to do it as an Eridar." I don't remember your reasons at the time, but I remember telling you, no, keep your guys an Eridar. You never know if they might say something about you being an Eridar during it. I had no idea at the time. There was no hints. I was not told through messages or anything, but I told him just in case, because I was like, they've been doing that stuff a little bit more lately. They've been doing a little bit more RPG stuff. So I'm really glad I told you to do that, because you might have missed that. It was
written around you being an Eridar as well. Like, it was really cool. Like, I didn't feel out of place at all. Like, to the point where I actually liked wearing it afterwards on my Eridar. Like, again, amazing job. Amazing job. And you get to find out, like, how they're doing in the Alliance and what people think of that. Like, it's so good.
I think it's kind of funny as an RPer because, and I said this on Twitter, you know, this is going to be a little ramble. Again, I have a lot more to say than Box probably does. Well, not a lot, but, you know. But it's funny because you have a lot of people who play the Penitent or the Eridar or the Minari, however you want to say they are. A lot of them play as antagonistic, and you're not supposed to be doing that, apparently, which I think is funny and fascinating. At the same time, I'm not trying to be a rule man or whatever, but like, or fun police rather, but it's just funny to me because, yeah, you're supposed to be one of the good ones that the Penitent sends down, not one of the sneaky bad ones that many people like to play as.
And it's like the screening, I think it said, is very like they do a
yeah,
lot of
he does his homework on you. So if you're acting up, you're no longer a part of the Penitent. So I just think that's, you know, it kind of encourages role players to kind of, you know, step out of their comfort zone and be good. Again, if you're gonna play an antagonistic or a villain in RP, you got to be careful with that stuff because, you know, in any situation or case. But besides that, I just want to say that the Heritage questlines, especially in Dragonflight, I didn't really feel like this in Battle for Azeroth as much. Maybe I'm wrong. It's hard to remember everything because it has been a bit since BFA's Heritage questlines, but I want to say Dragonflight's, they really gave a lot of world building to the races. Like, again, with the Orcs, it was all about the clans joining up again and being a thing again after being dissolved by Thrall, like, since the beginning of the Third War, which has been a long time, at least according to us and according to WoW and according to everything. And it gave them new chieftains, new leaders, and it's doing the same thing with the Draenei here, and I love that, because it's just like, here are some new Draenei characters, here are some old Draenei characters, they're alive, they're acting, they're doing stuff, and it's just nice to have world building again. It feels like WoW is, it feels like it's pushing those buttons that used to exist, that haven't existed for a while. Like, I do think that world building in WoW has slowed down a ton at a certain point. Like, I want to say probably around after or during Legion, if I'm being honest. That's what it feels like. Probably after Legion. I like BFA, but it definitely feels like they weren't telling a complete story with every race. I really hope they continue these, like, Heritage questlines, but, like, they're no longer Heritage questlines. They're more like, you know, Aftermath quests. That's what I would love for them to do. Or just, I guess, reflect on these in the new starting zones, or the new world revamp, you know? I feel like that's a good way of going about it. Like, it's not just one little quest like we got in Shadowlands with the Blood Elves, with Liadrin, dealing with the Sand Lane. Instead, it would be more like, you're getting a ton of quests now. You're getting a ton of quest lines. Like, that's what I would love to see reflected in the open world following after Last Titan, or whenever they do this. But yeah, it's been a treat. It's been really good. I think Blizzard did an amazing job. I think we met with the person who did this, and you did an awesome job. Sorry, I'm bad with names. I'm bad with everyone's names, but you did a terrific job if you're watching this. As a Draenei lover and a RP lover, because I know that she roleplays, I'm pretty sure, or they roleplay, sorry. I'm not, again, I don't know. I don't know anything. Yeah, it's just, did a great job. I'm happy. Good on you. Good on Blizzard, and I hope to see more of this and more stories of this. I really want to see more of Hatun and Akama, please. The broken Draenei, they're my favorite. I want to play a broken Draenei. That's what I gotta say. And a Magnathal, though. Gotta say that too, just in case.
I also want to say it was cool. I forgot who it was. I know it was one of the broken, I believe, but when they were talking about the Penitent ban, I like how they compared them to like the Ebon Blade and was it the Illidari? But it was pretty cool.
I think that was Akama. I think Akama brought up the not the Ebon Blade, but the Illidari, because you know
how some
Akama
would revolt against the Legion.
Yeah, he was like bite the hand that fed them, and like Akama said, they can be useful. So like, it's very much in character for Akama, who's a very dark and gritty and gray character, to be like, we can use them. We can use them. Don't turn them away. Keep an eye on them, but we can use them for our own ends, which that's so in character for Akama. Akama has been twisted.
That was a
poor
good
guy.
Line. That was a good line.
I love Akama. He's a great character. It's so funny because Akama and I believe Rexar were both voiced by Steve Bloom in Warcraft 3. So and also an Uberak, which are all three of my favorite Warcraft 3 characters from Frozen Throne. So funny that always. But yeah, more Akama, please. He's cool.
Well, I just want to wrap this one down just by echoing what Ban said. Thank you to everyone who worked with this quest. It was so amazing. It was absolutely everything I wanted from the Draenei Heritage quest line. Like, it really was. Yes.
And if you want, you can also maybe give us those maybe a customization somehow of the half orc Draenei. I don't know how that would work, but that would be a very cool featurette if they want to include that. I know I'm going on my half race tangents. I want them for customization
and
in all corners of the. Yes, that too. Could you imagine if they added Eridar wings? That would be cool too. Yeah, we're going on tangents now, but yeah, just more customization and more playable races. That's always a plus.
And more Draenei too, and more Draenei in the lore. But Ban, thank you.
Sure.
Very
Yes.
much.
Yes.
Thanks for joining me today. Make sure you follow this guy on Twitter, on YouTube, Banarak. And we'll probably be back next time with Mop Remix and then Troll Heritage Armor. Burn!
Come on. Dark spears never die. Fire!